Welcome to How We Heard It, the podcast about music, pop culture, movies, and more, with your hosts Wayne Bledsoe and Chuck Campbell.
Kaya, Australia. This is Chuck Campbell with
Wayne Bledsoe, and
This is John Baker.
Kaya is the Noongar language of the local indigenous people of Western Australia. Yesterday, I checked our maps of who was on, and the first one's on was someone from Australia. And I usually Australia has a breakdown map, so you can click on it and see just where in Australia they are. And we get plenty of listeners from Australia, but usually it's New South Wales, which is Sydney,
right,
or Victoria, which is Melbourne. And this time it was Western Australia, which is pretty much like a third of the country, and Perth is like the only city of note. And 80% of the people in Western Australia live in Perth.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a very, there's a lot of Australians in South and East Australia, but Western Australia is very much wide open.
Well,
so
I was just about to say, I used to interview Tommy Emmanuel, who's Australian, all the time.
Right.
And he had a family band, and they went across Australia. They would perform in the outback in these little bitty places.
Yeah, little places.
Travel forever.
Well, they probably knew the Noongar people and performed for them.
Yeah, probably did.
All right. Well, Wayne, you came up with this week's topic, girl groups, which totally sounds like something I would come up with.
The reason I came up with it is in my memories on Facebook, a performance by the Pinklets came up, which is a local group. It was three sisters and originally had a fourth member, Willa Mae, who's now performing on her own. But the Pinklets were like a great, great girl group. Performed at Bonnaroo when the drummer was just 11.
Right.
It was 11, 13, and 15 were their ages when they performed at Bonnaroo.
They recorded all their stuff here at this studio.
And they were terrific. And it just made me think, you know what? We've never done girl groups.
I dare not suggest such a thing. You would just expect that from me. But I just wondered if you were just paying me a favor or,
Well, I mean, I knew that you could handle everything beyond.
Sure. Like I said, I can do that one in my sleep,
And I know tons of history, and I have a slightly different take than a lot of people who are, music history buffs. But
so there's a fascinating history to girl groups, you say.
Well, I mean, we start out in the 30s with the Boswell sisters, who I've mentioned before. Quit making that face, Chuck. I've got this new thing for my notebook. I can throw it.
He warned me he wanted an introduction, so I said, okay.
I said, give me like 10 minutes.
Professor Bledsoe with his music history lesson.
So if you're bored in the first 10 minutes, just skip on up and then Chuck will take over.
Yeah.
But you got the Boswell sisters who were living in New Orleans and surrounded by jazz, and they were one of the biggest groups in the 30s. And they really kind of brought jazz to people who would not have heard it otherwise. I mean, and they were doing all these vocal gymnastics and doing scat singing and things that other people were not doing. And it was like...
It was more the style of their singing than the fact they were women then? Or?
Yeah. And I mean, but that's part of the thing with these girl groups. It's like, they're only girl groups just because it's not like they were created to be that. They're sisters, and they love music.
I've noticed, a lot of girl groups, there's some sisters involved.
Especially the early
ones.
Yeah. But, so anyway, you've got the Boswell sisters who are phenomenal. And in fact, I mean... And I want to say, also in the 30s, on countryside, you had the Coon Creek Girls, who became a popular thing. I knew you'd laugh as soon as you heard that name. They started the Renfrew Valley Barn Dance, but they were sort of a thing. But not everybody, not young people, probably don't remember the Andrews Sisters. But the Andrews Sisters, like when Bette Midler in the 70s did Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, that was a cover of an Andrews Sisters song. The Andrews Sisters were covering the Boswell sisters.
Were the Andrews sisters like World War II popular?
Right. Okay. Yeah, they're big.
So they were another decade beyond Boswell.
Yeah, they started basically right when the Boswell sisters broke up in like 1938 or 37, someplace in the late 30s. And they started, and they became one of the biggest hit makers of the World War II era. And Rum and Coca-Cola was a huge, huge hit. Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, which I just mentioned, was another one of their big hits. So those are really kind of the only two big girl groups from those 2 decades, which is kind of amazing to me when you've got all these, women who could make music.
Right.
But then you get the 50s, And then you get, and again, you had, lots of sister groups, but you had like the Chordettes from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And they had Mr. Sandman and Lollipop, which you still hear all the time in movies and things like that. They were hugely popular songs. And those were like 1954, 1958. The Bobettes with Mr. Lee in 1957. And people remember that one. The Chantels with Maybe. The Teen Queens with Eddie My Love. I just love the whole, the Teen Queens.
The Teen Queens.
And that opened the door for what was going on. Of course, in 1954, Elvis hits. That's when Elvis starts recording.
Okay.
And rock and roll's been there before Elvis, but Elvis really brings it to white audiences.
So you brought it to the white people.
Right,
so, right.
Exactly. And, of course, people were terrified of rock and roll. It was, like, very sexual. It had, like, all sorts of, like, there was a testosterone-fueled music for sure. Even the girls, like, Wanda Jackson, who was a teenager when she started, she was just over the top and crazy.
Right.
I mean, I mentioned her last week with, never kissed a bear, never kissed a goon, but I can shake a chicken in the middle of the room. She was nuts. It was great. But then there was a backlash to rock and roll. They had the payola scandals, which, went on forever, but this was the thing to kind of kill rock and roll because record companies were paying DJs to play songs and giving them credits on songs.
Right.
And all this happens. Elvis.
If that happened today, it'd be, that's business,
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know if that would be illegal now.
Yeah, well, the president's doing that sort of thing. But, so you had all that and this backlash to rock and roll, so you go back to pop music, which is softer, or safer and softer. But you have the Shirelles in 1961.
Yeah, now you're getting. I've got a few '60s too, but
Okay.
I don't have as much history as you do with it. So keep going.
Well, the Shirelles come out in 1961 with "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow," written by Carole King and Jerry Goffin. Which Carole King, one of the greatest songwriters of all time, and she was kind of behind some of these. I mean, some of these girl groups, a lot of them, they were recording her songs, and they were way deeper than people expected. I mean, here's a song about a girl who, even though it's not explicit, is going to have sex with this guy. And,
so that's what the question's about.
Yeah.
If we have sex, will you still love me? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. You're not tonight. I mean, it's implied. It's not explicit, like I said, but everybody got that. That's what that meant. If I have sex with you tonight, are you going to love me in the morning like you say you do tonight? So, I mean, suddenly you had songs that were really talking about what things that girls were worried about, teenage girls.
Right.
And, I mean, from there, you've got, Dedicated to the One I Love. But this is more Shirelles songs.
Shirelles were not Phil Spector, were they?
No, and I want to get to Phil Spector.
Shirelles were New Jersey.
Right.
They did Soldier Boy, right?
Mm-hmm, they did Soldier Boy. Sure, it's Shirley Owens, Addie Harris, Doris Coley, and Beverly Lee. Baby It's You, Mama Said, Soldier Boy. They had a ton of great songs. And then you got the Marvelettes, Please Mr. Postman, Beechwood, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. And then you get to this Phil Spector groups. And part of the thing that was going on is these girl groups, they would credit their success to men a lot of times.
Right.
It's like, and Phil Spector is the best example. Everybody gives Phil Spector, the producer, all the credit. But he wrote some of the songs, he put them together. And when we talk about Phil Spector groups, it's the Ronettes, which Be My Baby and Baby I Love You.
Right.
And That's Part of Breaking Up, Walking in the Rain. The Crystals with Uptown and Do Do Da Run Run, and the Blossoms. And this is
Were these mostly New York bands or
in that general area, a lot of them. That's where they came together. Some of them Detroit in that area.
He did the Detroit ones too?
Some of them.
Okay.
That's where they came from. But the Blossoms actually recorded the song He's a Rebel because Phil Spector wanted the Crystals to record it. They're out on tour, so he just gets another one of his girl groups to record it, and they put it out as the Crystals.
Oh, wow.
So this is
Just
the kind of
because
control.
the name recognition for the Crystals, right?
Yeah. So
and that's how interchangeable women
Exactly.
girl groups were considered.
And it's terrible, but here's, Phil Spector, and he's supposed to be boy millionaire genius.
Right.
But these girls had all this talent, and it's just because he put the wall of sound behind them. It was very AM friendly. It's very loud and, in your face. So you got all that going on. And then you get the Motown groups that start out.
Right.
You got Martha the Vandellas,
right?
Heat Wave, Dance in the Street, Nowhere to Run.
Jimmy Mack. I love Jimmy Mack.
That's
a great song.
Yeah, it's a great one. The Velvets, Needle in a Haystack. He was really saying something, which got covered later.
Oh, Bananarama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you got the ones that kind of fall through the cracks. The Paris Sisters with "I Love How You Love Me."
Are we still in Detroit?
We're kind of all over at this point.
Okay. Well,
you didn't mention the Supremes.
Yeah, we're waiting for that. I know he's gonna...
That's because I have the Supremes. The Supremes change everything.
Word Supreme, yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
The Chiffons with "He's So Fine," 1963, "One Fine Day." The Angels with "My Boyfriend's Back." The Cookies with "Chains," and "Don't Say Nothing Bad About My Baby," which was by their actual lead singer Earl Jean. And the Dixie Cups, "Chapel of Love," Shangri-La's "Remember Walking in the Sand," "Leader of the Pack."
Mm-hmm.
And this music was not getting much respect here. But if you look at what the British Invasion acts were doing, they were covering these songs. The Beatles covered Chains. Mm-hmm. They covered lots of stuff. Into Something Good that Earl Jean recorded. Herman's Hermits had a bigger hit with it. Yeah. So you had all this stuff going on, and then later on in the punk era, people started listening to this stuff and covering it and loving it. I mean, when you go to the New York Dolls, they're covering the Shangri-Las. And you've got later on Jesus and Mary Chain are big fans. Sonic Youth are fans of this music. Mm-hmm. So it took 20 years sometimes for it to get the respect that it deserved. And then in about, the mid-'60s, the Supremes come in and everything. They're no longer a girl group. They're Motown's best-selling group.
Right.
So the whole girl group era is over, but finally you get a band that's all women that gets the respect that they actually deserve.
Right.
So there you go. There's my first 10 minutes.
Okay. Oh, it's 11 minutes, but okay.
Was it 11?
We were interrupting you some, so we'll take a minute on John and I, and you get the other 10. So the Supremes, that Diana Ross, of course, was like a lot of these girl groups, they would have like one name, but it wasn't like this rebranding thing. How about the Vandellas? Was Martha Reeves... Was it always Martha and the Vandellas, or
no? It was the Vandellas, and then she joined, and then they got successful really successful when she joined.
Okay,
but you had, and we talked about this a little bit before it started. A lot of times, it would be a breakout artist from a group.
Yeah,
and you think, well, it's because she's the best singer, but part of it is the record companies don't like dealing with groups,
right?
So they would always pick out one person that they could deal with,
right,
and try to elevate them. So, Diana Ross, the Supremes, she wasn't the only great singer, but they pushed all the songs to her.
Yeah.
And it's like once you've just got one person to deal with, their lives are simpler.
Right, and the others fall in line because they don't have a choice.
And this happens, I know it from talking to local bands that signed with major labels. What they would try to do is they'd try to fracture the band so they only had to deal with one person.
Yeah.
Because they like dealing with one person. They don't like democracies. It's too many hurdles for them to jump over.
I feel like all of those Supreme songs got covered over and over again. You think they're probably the most covered girl group? I know everything from Where Did Our Love Go? It was Soft Cell to Phil Collins did You Can't Hurry Love, and just like
my favorite
seemed like
Supreme
they were
song.
always popping back up.
Well, the thing is, the Supremes had so many more hits than everybody else. Most of these other groups, if they had 5 hits, that was a huge.
Yeah, you could retire on that.
And the Supremes, they had 5 hits in 1 year. They probably had 10 hits in some years.
Right.
But that was what happened is when they dominated. It's sort of what happened in pop music later when women started becoming the dominant force. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, this stuff is built up, and finally you get this respect.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, too, when you're comparing and contrasting, like, America to Europe or whatever, and embracing. That's kind of been a trend of America is to kind of not accept pop or women as much as they're embraced in other countries.
Well,
Go ahead.
And look what happened with blues. Same thing. I mean, blues here, it's like, oh, whatever. And then it goes in England, they're listening to it and going crazy and loving it.
And it revives their career.
It revives their career.
Muddy Waters toured in England, and all of a sudden he was a has-been.
Yeah. And it's
Wolf, same.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Somebody, go ahead.
I think at some point we should do an episode about the reverberation back and forth across the Atlantic between the United States and Britain, and how music just like a ping pong ball back and forth and influencing each other.
Yeah,
I've thought of that from both ways and kind of started looking into either one, like American bands who are bigger in other countries and bands from other countries that are bigger in America. Because a lot of times you won't do it well at all in your home country, but you can go somewhere else with your sound.
The old biblical line of prophets never recognized in his homeland.
Okay,
sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing in any place. It's like here in.
Well, let's get out of the '60s.
Okay, no, we're out of the '60s. We moved
Let's move out of the '60s. Okay. So one thing about girl groups, they can be vocal groups. A lot of times, I guess that's where they first got their name. Was just they were vocal groups, and these women that we're talking about, they were all strictly vocalists, right? None of them were instrumentalists. Yeah. Okay. Well, they can also be all-girl bands, which is something we can get to later. All-women bands that we can get to later. But the girl groups theme has gone through time and, pop history and everything. And in the 70s, like you were saying, it kind of moved into disco, which is figures. Right. And again, you got your sisters. You got the Pointer Sisters.
The Pointer Sisters, who were
the biggest
wonderful.
ones. They had Slow Hand, Fire, He's So Shy, Automatic, I'm So Excited.
And that's their
Neutron
second era.
Dance.
And that's their second era. Their first hit was Yes We Can by Alan Toussaint.
Okay.
19...
you go back too far, and I don't I'm like, okay, I guess that played too.
And they also had a minor country hit with a song called Fairy Tale.
Okay. Well, they were certainly one of the biggest acts of the 70s.
Yeah.
And
80s, early 80s.
Oh, yeah, they kept going.
Yeah.
Sister Sledge, they were also disco. We Are Family. That's the one that I laughed about the video they made, and like three of them were all into it, and one of them was like in the background, like she had nothing to give about their dance. But
and LaBelle,
before Patti LaBelle, was she a breakout then, or?
Yeah, I mean LaBelle actually started in the late '60s, I think, and then I think Lady Marmalade maybe '72. But then she moved on and became like the big star.
Okay. And she did.
Yeah.
The Emotions in 1977, they were 5 weeks at number one with that song Best of My Love, which even today it reverberates. I've talked about this guy's song before, but he took Best of My Love, Paul Russell's his name, and he turned it into a 2023 hit, Lil Boo Thing. And it's Do Your Little Boo Thing, but it's got the same rhythm and the beat, it doesn't have them and their backing vocals and all that stuff, but he did justice by it, I guess. I just hated that he would take one of my favorites, but we want to plow along here to keep get the vocal acts going. I'll go into the 80s.
Go ahead.
80s, everything was like breaking into different genres and all that stuff, and we were getting away from just sister bands and whatever. And then Bananarama was one of the biggest ones, and I think part of their success is they started out as kind of like a new wave. They had Cruel Summer and Robert De Niro's Waiting, and these hits that you remember them just kind of like dressed down and walking around the streets or whatever, and not being too polished up. But that was the style of the music in the earlier 80s and MTV.
And Really Saying Something was a cover of one of these great.
Really Saying Something, yeah. And then they made this successful transition in the later 80s to dance with Stock Aitken Waterman, who were doing all these hits for Rick Astley and all these other people. And they had Venus. That was like ended up being their biggest hit.
Right.
And they became like, I don't know if they're still Britain's number one. Probably not. But they were like the all-time all-woman group for Britain because of the hits. Because they had two eras, and they were able to turn out several hits in both eras. One is a kind of a dressed down, new wave kind of thing, and then dance club music, bar music. Then in America we had Expose, and they were this group. They were these three women based in Miami, and they were almost like they looked like they were just kind of handpicked to be these three different women who were, very different from each other, from Miami, and they had a lot of number ones. They had Seasons Change, Come Go With Me, Point of No Return, and I got to interview one of them. I was actually in Florida at this time writing, and I talked to Ann Curlis, and I thought, and this is an assumption people make, and unfortunately I did too. When you see these group of women singing, you think, okay, well, who's really doing your music and who's really behind your music? Just a natural chauvinistic thing to think.
Yeah.
And I started talking to this Ann Curlis, and she may have been the smartest musician I ever interviewed.
Really?
Yeah, she was a marketing student at the University of Miami, and she was applying their skills for their looks, for their marketing, their distribution, and everything. And everything just clicked, and it was like, we were all manipulated all along. It's like they knew what they were doing, and they came out and they did it, and they got number one hit after number one hit. And it was really great to know that, she wasn't just some voice on a microphone. She had a lot to do with everything, their costuming and all that stuff. And there's a certain element of that you get in girl bands and boy bands, where you're trying to break up each one so they're distinguishable from each other. Did I just knock the microphone? I hope it didn't do too bad.
It's inevitable.
And then also in the 80s, I wanted to say Salt and Peppa. You start getting the rap, and Salt and Peppa was a trio because they also had Spinderella, who was like the DJ.
Right.
And so many hits. They had Push It. Everyone remembers Push It. Shoop, What a Man, they did with In Vogue. And then In Vogue went on to become their own. Yeah. And they were more 90s than Vogue was. Salt and Peppa started a little earlier than they did. But then In Vogue had Don't Let Go and My Lovin', You're Never Gonna Get It, Hold On, Free Your Mind. You used to sing along to that one. Only you changed the words.
No. Their song is a reference to a Funkadelic song.
Okay. All right. Well,
it was Free Your Mind and Your Ass.
Okay, yeah. Bleep.
Okay. Nobody's going to bleep.
Anyway.
That.
We're not about a donkey.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Or anyway, they were from San Francisco.
Right.
And Salt and Peppa's from Queens. They were also in the 80s. Prince came out with Apollonia 6.
Right.
And, of course, Apollonia was in Purple Rain.
Right.
And Apollonia 6 was his girl band that she was the leader of. And they had a song called Sex Shooter, which was kind of a hit. But Prince formed the band and produced them. And it was, all women.
It started Vanity 6? What was the... I can't remember.
Oh, I can't remember.
I think it started as Vanity 6 and then they added...
No, Vanity was she was her own thing.
Was it?
Yeah, and she was also a Prince. And he wanted to give her a real vulgar name, and she was real religious, and she wouldn't do it, so she went with Vanity. And she was from Atlanta. I think she's a preacher now. Or she became a preacher. She could be retired now. But I wanted to say that the next year, Rick James formed and produced the Mary Jane Girls.
Yep.
And so he bested Prince because they had more success.
Right.
They had the song In My House, which was like a big hit. So I thought that was it. And then also, I think this was the 80s. Kind of a woman's supergroup of trio. Mm-hmm. Dolly Parton, Emmylou Harris, and Linda Ronstadt. They were 80s, weren't they?
Yep.
I thought that was kind of an interesting thing because all three were very well established. But.
But they were such fans of each other, and they got together. I can't remember. I think Dolly talked about it at one point, I think, when I interviewed her. And they were just fans of each other, and they just decided, I think, to sing together one time. It's like, you know what? We ought to do this.
Didn't they do Mr. Sandman?
Mm-hmm. They did a version of it.
Everybody seems to do that one.
Well, it keeps coming back.
And then they did another album like in the late 90s.
Yeah. And then Ronstadt and Emmylou did an album after that Dolly didn't participate in, but I think it's just because she was so busy.
She's always busy.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a really nice box of all the trio recordings. It's really good.
Yeah.
And it has some stuff that didn't make it onto the albums.
Yeah. 3 fantastic vocalists.
I'm wondering if anybody's going to say anything about the Runaways.
Oh yeah, well, that's when we get to the groups. We're doing vocal groups right now.
I never knew there was any of that.
Well, I thought I said that. Anyway,
we may have said that before we started. I don't know.
Yeah, so there's vocal groups and there's bands. So I got the Runaways down. That's when I'm going to lead with the Runaways. So you're right on target there. But the vocal groups, there were quirky ones too, like everything from Total Quelo. They did the song "I Eat Cannibals," where they all kind of look like Spice Girls.
What's the name of the band again?
Total Quelo.
I probably just saw it and never heard anybody pronounce it.
Yeah, they did. You like Cannibal songs. So
well, I like that. I
like
remember that one. You used to sing that all the time at work.
Yeah. And then there were the Coconuts. Of course, they were connected to Kid Creole, who was kind of like what would you call that? Like big band revision kind of, I don't know.
Kind of.
But they did vocal albums that were fantastic. You know, they were, and they had a song called Did You Have to Love Me Like You Did? That's like still one of my favorite songs ever, and it's like 40 years old.
Right.
90s, you had In Vogue, I mentioned them, Wilson Phillips. These were the daughters of...
Brian Wilson and John Phillips.
John Phillips.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mamas and the Papas.
Very much. They had Hold On. That's a big one. They had
Don
Release Me, You're in Love. TLC, again, you had a really cool hip-hop act. T-Boz and Lisa Left Eye Lopez and Chili. They had Waterfalls. They had Creep. They had Baby, Baby, Baby. What About Your Friends? I think that's their unspoken best one. Now we're getting into the 90s, and I've got to mention Spice Girls.
Of course you do.
Because of and one thing I wanted to say about these vocal bands, as far as resonating with young women and girls, I feel like, boy bands, they always love boy bands and everything, but there's kind of a special place, I think, a lot of times for girl bands. And this is very generalized, but, girls watch the boy bands to see who they would date, but a lot of times they watch the Spice Girls or something like that to see who they want to be.
Well, and it's interesting because, and I learned this with what started this, the Pinklets. A lot of times girls won't get behind girl groups.
Right.
I mean, the Pinklets fan base was more, adults.
Right.
But, another boy, like an all boy group from that same school where they went, they got way more popular.
Yep.
And because the girls just wouldn't embrace these girls who were just really knocking it out of the park, really successful and, doing great music, which is a weird thing. It's like Survivor when we talk about women alliances don't always stick together.
It's what you take from music, as to what you're open to and what you're not open to. And as far as like, picking out the cutest one in a group of people you're interested in is one thing, but when you're looking at yourself, and who you want to be. So like at the same time you had NSYNC and Backstreet Boys as the Spice Girls, all these were going on at the same time and there was overlap, but I noticed that the girls who identify with the Spice Girls, I went to a Spice Girls show, every girl there was dressed like one of them.
Yeah.
So you could be the smart one, or you could be the sweet one, or you could be the fashionable one, or the scary one, or whatever. And the boy bands, I've been to those shows too, that's more like, they think Justin Timberlake's cute or whatever, and it's just kind of and at that age, in adolescence and everything, everything's so fragile, and you're looking for an identity, you're looking for something to grab onto. So anyway.
And they created those boy bands with that in mind.
Yes, yeah.
Here's the goofy one. Here's the funny, goofy one.
Yeah.
Here's the sweet, sensitive one.
Yeah, and there was always a monkey boy. There's always a monkey boy. Every one of the band, they always had one guy who really wasn't very good looking. He's just kind of this stumpy, hairy thing. And it's like, okay, well, I guess some girls are going to be stuck with the monkey boy, if the cute one and the handsome one,
I think that's like the least threatening one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their dad. Dad's a monkey boy, Dad's not a male model or anything like that. In Britain, there was a group called All Saints, and they were kind of a rival to the Spice Girls, and they were really big at about the same time. Yeah. They had some hits here. They had I Know Where It's Out At and Never Ever. I'm plowing through these vocal groups here. Yeah. In the 90s, Destiny's Child, we were talking about that. That's definitely where you had one singer, Beyonce, she was like, that was her big starting ground. And Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams were in there too. But they had Say My Name and Survivor and Bootylicious. And it's like, okay, we're just going to have to break Beyonce out as a soloist. Yeah. But the interesting thing, I saw that they've got another album coming out. Beyonce's dad, he's their manager. But I think it's just older material and remade material and all stuff. I don't think they all got together and recorded again. There's a little bit of bad blood there, as you might imagine. And then we get into the real sexualized Pussycat Dolls. Nicole Scherzinger is probably the only big one from the Pussycat Dolls, but they were all about dance and everything. And that's where a lot of these music was going. It was kind of a precursor to K-pop bands. And of course, they had Don'tcha, Beep, Buttons, When I Grow Up. And then there was a Miami band called Fifth Harmony, and Camila Cabello came out of that. She's a big soloist now. They had, probably That's My Girl, that's my favorite. They had Work From Home, Worth It. They broke up once Camila left, went solo. And then there was a British band that came out of the X Factor. Fifth Harmony came out of the X Factor. They were pieced together from the TV show, from, I guess, the American version. In the British version, they produced Little Mix from the X Factor, and they had all kinds of hits in Britain, but not so much here. But there's variety. There's like some rap groups like the Yeasty Girls. I've mentioned them before, from Berkeley, and Northern State from Long Island. They're these real just gritty kind of rap bands and everything too that came out, and different things were resonating with people. And then wrapping it up, where we are now with girl groups, vocal girl groups, it's totally K-pop. Blackpink, maybe the biggest girl group in the world ever. They came from South Korea. Twice, also big. The thing about Twice, Blackpink, they've got 4 gals in them, and they've done solos and everything. Twice, they've got 9 members, but 3 of them are the singers, and the others do other things. It's like, I guess they're more dancers or whatever. Maybe they'll spin out a rap or something. But I guess when you got a big group of girls, and each one has to be one, you got to offer them more than just 3. I don't know. And then Katseye, finally, they debuted in 2024. It's bringing K-pop to the world more. They've got like 3 of the 6, is it, that they've got? Yeah, 3 of the 6 are Americans, and then one's from Korea, one's from Philippines, and one's from Switzerland. And that's probably the biggest. They debuted, like I say, in 2024 with the song Debut. So that's all I got to say about vocal ones. You got any more to add about all vocal?
I think you covered it.
Okay. So that got us through to today, where we are now. And now, all woman bands. There's this group called the Runaways.
Well,
Sorry.
no. But you start out. But let's start out right. But the precursor to all that is a group called Fanny.
I do remember them.
A really good documentary about them. They were like a rock and roll band. Started like maybe 68, 69. I can't remember what year they came out.
I don't remember them.
Well, it was a trio, and it seems like 2 of them were actually sisters. There's a new like I said, I haven't seen the documentary, but there's a documentary that came out a couple of years ago, and they were very influential in just kind of getting some of these girl rockers going.
And they could really play.
They could really play. They were good. And they showed up on TV every once in a while, and it was always, it's so weird to think about how weird it was then to see an all-girl rock and roll band.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you get, of course, Susie Quattro came out as a leader, but then you get the Runaways.
Interesting thing, too, about, women in rock generally, early rock, the women would be, you'd have flabby guys and saggy jeans come out to do the music, and the women would be in these tight dresses to do backing vocals, or someone to have a tambourine or something like that.
Well, Fanny were wearing some...
Right.
I mean, they were wearing pants. They were kind of rough looking. I mean, they were... I'm not sure if they were all gay or not, but
we're okay.
But I know at least 2 of them were, but I think they all were. But,
I think the Runaways were mostly gay.
Yeah, I think so, too. But, of course...
I think that was a problem for one. But anyway.
Well, again, here's another situation where, Kim Foley is the guy that, puts them together and gets the credit for the band. And it's like... I'm sorry, but those women knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they were all great artists.
Yeah.
And I mean, Joan Jett proves it.
Yeah. Well, and Joan Jett, of course, probably the most famous Runaway. I do want to say before I forget, so many of these all-women bands come from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And it was weird because, that just seemed to be the birthplace for all the ones I was writing. I would look up where they were from, like the vocal groups they were from. A lot from Detroit and from New York or whatever, and it's just L.A. when I was looking up these women bands. But the Runaways, they kick-started in 75. Cherry Bomb, that's probably the song they're best known for. Joan Jett. Cherry Curry, she she had some solo success. Alita Ford was in it.
Yep.
And there's another one in it. I'm going to mention her later in another band because I didn't realize that she was the same person as in this other all-woman band.
Well, that's something I don't know then, probably. Well, it's interesting. I mean, when you talk about coming from the same area, I think part of it is, and you see this locally here because, we have like original artists where other cities don't have original artists. When somebody sees somebody getting a little success locally, that spurs all these others to do it. So imagine being a young woman in, an area and you see the Runaways come up. Right. And you go to their show.
Oh, I would leave Dubuque, Iowa in 10 minutes.
And they're badass.
Yeah.
But that's part of it is seeing people and in an area, it inspires other people in that area to come up and start doing it.
Right. That's why you have like hip hop capitals like Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's like it just once some artists start coming out there, then that's where you go to make it, and then you've got more and more, and then
look
crazy
about
competition.
And back to Motown with Detroit, it's like they had so much success that it spurs all these other people to go. Maybe I could make it too.
Yeah. Or grunge in Seattle, or college rock in Athens, Georgia, or
And that's kind of the next wave is the Riot Girl movement, which is focused up in the Pacific Northwest, in Seattle in particular, Seattle and Portland. But then you got 4 Non-Blondes that come out, and L7 that come out. And Jennifer Finch, of course, just died recently from L7.
Jennifer Finch, she was the bassist of L7.
Yeah.
Anybody prepared to mention the Shags?
Go ahead.
It's the Wiggins sisters. When was that, in the 60s?
No, well, yeah, actually, I think it may
Late
have been
60s?
like 69 maybe.
And
69,
and
70.
there were 3 sisters, and their dad was convinced that they were going to be huge stars, and he took them into the studio, but none of them knew how to play their instruments. And so when they play, it just sounds like 3 girls, one girl's playing drums completely out of time. Barely play guitar, barely sing, and yet they're convinced that they're great.
Yeah.
Sometimes confidence is all you need.
I think their dad was convinced they were great. Yeah. I really don't think the Wiggins sisters thought they were great.
But still, it's unique music.
It is, and it's weirdly listenable. In fact, I think it was Who Are Parents was used at the end of a movie I saw recently. I can't think what the name of it. Oh, no, it was, I watched the movie, I think it's Ken Park.
Okay. In Los Angeles, Go-Go's, they started in 78. One of the most famous,
and came out of the punk scene, which people don't really realize. Yeah, because they sounded so clean and crisp and pure.
Yeah, it sounds like we got the
wild.
beat.
Yeah.
Oh, and the stories I've read about what
Charlotte
they
Cathy
did.
was a heroin addict.
Yeah, she was. But the things they did to, they would have been arrested for some of these stories I read. Like crazy. But they did Our Lips Are Sealed, and We Got the Beat, and these real,
Vacation.
not fluffy, and Vacation. Yeah, so they were all these upbeat, cherry kind of songs, even though they had the punk background.
But you had like this, that's the thing. In the punk era, it was women started, realizing they had a big piece of that. You had the Slits and, all these bands that were just very, very in your face.
Yeah.
And the Go-Go's, even though they're not in your face, they're sweet seeming.
Well, they dialed it back a little bit.
They did.
They used to be in your face and drunk, and then they dialed it back. So let's make money now. And of course, they're from Los Angeles. L7 is actually from Los Angeles.
Oh, that's right.
And the Bangles are from Los Angeles. And
they started out as the Bangs.
Yep, they started out of the Bangs.
Punk scene.
Yeah, they got there. Yeah, they were just a few years behind the Go-Go's, but yeah, they had that. And of course, Susanna Hoffs and Mickey Steele, who was in the Runaways, was in the Bangles, and she was like, and she rebranded as Michael Steele. Her name's Michael, and I remember I interviewed them, and she just seemed to have a different air about her than the other 3. Susanna Hoffs was great. Like, she was the perfect spokeswoman. Then you had the sisters, Debbie and Vicki Peterson. Right. They were fine. And Michael Steele, she was more just kind of reserved. And I talked to her, and I knew that she was singing lead on some of the songs. She knew that the focus is going to be Susanna Hoffs, but Susanna Hoffs didn't sing lead on every song. Yeah. And she was like a really good singer too, Michael Steele was. But she just had a real calm kind of presence about her. I guess she may have been a little bit older than the others, but she dropped out of the Runaways, I think, before their debut album came out or something. But she was one of those with with Joan, and if I'd known, I would have asked her questions about that. But I just thought I want to ask her a lot of questions, but everybody else is being louder, and I'm got all four of them here at the same time, and she's just sitting there, very calm, and collected.
I had no idea.
All those bands were from Los Angeles, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Throwing Muses, I've talked about them before. They get an asterisk because there have been times when there has been a man in their group.
Yeah.
And there are some generally all women bands that have had a man here and there in the group. And then there's some, we probably get to some of the ones who always had a man in the group, but you just think of them as all women bands.
Right.
But Throwing Muses, of course, their trademark was Kristen Hirsch and Tanya Donnelly. They were stepsisters. They had a very, very innovative sound. They were also in the 80s. And thank you. Then Kristen Hirsch has kind of carried the Throwing Muses banner all this time, and then Tanya Donnelly spun off into the group Belly, and then as a soloist, and she's been successful at all of those. But they're just real innovative. I've liked them. Luscious Jackson, they're from Manhattan, so they're a New York band, and they got a groove to them. I mean, they're rock, but they also just have a...
They were on the Beastie Boys label, weren't they?
I think so.
Grand Royal?
Yeah. And Kate Schellenbach, I guess she was the one who knew. Yeah, she had a connection to that. But she's in the group. But the main ones are Jill Cuniff and Gabby Glazer. Vivian Trimble was in the band. She's passed away. They had great groove music and real catchy stuff. And Naked Eye was probably their most popular song. And I'm kind of getting into... I'm in the 90s now. Sleater Kinney. They came from Olympia. It was a trio, and then Janet Weiss dropped out. So she's ex of Sleater Kinney. But Carrie Brownstein and Corinne Tucker are the two Riot Girls.
Right.
And they're a bunch of Riot Girl bands.
Yeah.
Then I thought I would jump to Kitty. They're a Canadian band, and they got into Screamo. But then they got into, groove metal. So they were doing death metal and groove metal and different kinds of metal. Again, all women. And hearing Screamo coming from... You remember her?
Finally, I remember them. Yeah, I didn't think I remembered them, but now I do.
Yeah. A group I like to talk about, Rasputina.
Oh, yeah.
They're indie rock. They're cello rock is what they call it.
Weird as all get out.
They also get an asterisk like Throwing Muses because they have had a man in the group now and then. But the primary member is Melora Krieger. And she's, you've just not heard anything like them because it is mainly cello based, but it's definitely rock. They do covers and they just do the whole thematic approach of their music. Everything they do, it's just art. It's just like it's like art rock more than anything.
And then did a whole album on the year without summer.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of that one was, but the year that it never got warm and like crops died all over the place. It's really interesting.
And it's very
strange.
It's very artful. It's like the poetry and the music and everything, and they do funny stuff too. But it's almost always it's kind of like Kristen Hirsch with Throwing Muses. Melora Krieger is Rasputina, and these other people kind of come and go. I think there's like 30 people who used to be in Rasputina. If you look at the Wikipedia, it's like members and then former members, and the list just goes page after page. I talked about, I forgot about Fuzzbox. I mentioned them before. They were a British act, and it was how did I describe it? I said they were like a slumber party. They were teenagers. Yeah. And it was like a slumber party that turned into a punk band. And they were a lot of fun. They had a Fuzzbox. The name of their album was We Have a Fuzzbox, and We're Going to Use It.
I remember that.
And they did. It was a lot of fun. But then they would disappear for 5 or 6 years, complete lineup changes and stuff, and then they'd come back with a different sound and a different sound. They were trying to be Bananarama at one point, so they kind of lost their groove completely, but they started really strong. La Tigre, I had to look this up because it's got Kathleen Hanna of Bikini Kill. She's like the main vocalist for it. But there's one member, J.D. Sampson, and I had to look this up, and I thought, is girl group becoming anachronistic now? Because J.D. Sampson, born a woman, and I noticed had a mustache and everything. I thought, well, what is J.D. identifying as?
Right.
And it said that they're identifying as non-binary. And I thought, okay, well then is this still a girl group now? Or are we just like getting into an age now where you can't really call anything?
Well, I think that's one of the great things that may be happening is we can talk about all these as being girl groups.
Yeah.
And you have people that, I mean, it's like you might mention, people might think Hole is a girl group because,
Right.
led by a woman.
Right.
She's the most powerful force, another woman in the band. But
they always had Eric Erlandson in
Right.
playing lead guitar.
But, we're finally to the age where if it was an all-woman band, it's not a girl group.
Right.
It's just a group.
Right. Yeah, and the whole idea of, like sex identity and stuff like that,
Right.
that people have been spending years now, like really looking at and trying to get a handle on it, just changes the whole. Well, like when I said, the girls, they look at the boy bands to see who they want to date, and they look at the girl bands to see who they want to be. It's like, oh, that's just very general, and there are a lot of people that just doesn't stand for it anymore. It's just not a thing.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what's happened, and I'm glad to see it. But I think all these bands I think they're historically important.
Yeah, but that said, like some modern bands I've got here, Haim, that's three sisters. That's a great band, and it didn't hurt that they're all three friends with Taylor Swift. So they kind of gave them a launch, but when they perform, I mean, they're a good band.
Well, I think they got their reputation before they got to be buddies with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, they kind of collaborated on her with what was it? No Body, No Crime.
Yeah,
and I think their big song is The Wire.
And one of them is an actress too.
Yeah.
She's in Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza, and she's really good.
Yeah. So they're kind of doing it all. A band I love, I just love them, The Beaches, and they got a couple of sisters in that too, Jordan and Kylie Miller. Jordan is the lead singer for it, but it's an all-woman band. Again, like I say, they're Canadian. They have that song Blame Brett, which is just a great song. It's about, okay, I got abused by this guy, now I'm just going to go out and bulldoze every man I see, and don't blame me, blame Brett. Brett was the ex. It's just a great sounding song. Muna, they're a band that I recommended a couple of months ago. They had an album that came out in May. They're also a Los Angeles band, so still going strong. They're American indie pop. These are like women from the eastern side of Los Angeles, and they've got a real Katie Gavin. She's like the main vocalist. I believe they're all identify as lesbian. I believe I'm not even sure, but the lead singer does, and she did a song, I believe it was a duet with Sarah McLachlan, which was interesting. It was like a love song, and it's like, okay. And and then the last one I want to mention, you brought them up, the Lindas.
Oh yeah.
From Los Angeles again. 2018 punk. Their biggest hit was a Racist Sexist Boy, and again, there are two sisters in that band as well. Racist Sexist Boy came out in 2021.
They got to open for the Stones.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're just teenage girls.
Did you mention, this goes back a little ways, but did you mention Four Non Blondes? Did we talk about that?
No, you mentioned them, but go ahead.
Yeah, Four Non Blondes, which, late 80s, early 90s, and their song What's Up is like, it still gets covered. It still gets played all the time.
Yeah.
And then Linda Perry became one of the biggest
songwriters.
Pop songwriters out there.
And she does a great job of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So were they all women?
Yeah.
then?
But they were from San Francisco.
Okay.
I thought I just had to look that up because I thought they were one of those Seattle bands, but nope, they were San Francisco.
Oh, there was one I was going to mention, the Bell Stars. I think they were from the 80s. And
Yeah.
do you remember them?
Yeah.
They did Iko.
Yeah, which was done by
Some
the
old
Dixie
guy.
Cups way back
Dixie
when,
Cups, okay.
in the 60s. But it was, it's a New Orleans folk song.
Yeah.
It's been done since probably the 30s maybe. I
My
don't know. It's
grandma
an
said to your
old
grandma,
song.
I'm going to set your flag on fire.
Yeah.
Talking about, hey, now.
Yeah, I don't know how old it is, but it's definitely a really old standard.
Some of these bands that we were talking about, though, that give the essence of a girl band, but they're not. It's like Amazulu, they're kind of a throwback, British throwback, but Bikini Kill, you think of all that punk energy and everything, but not all women. The Breeders,
Yep.
You got Kim and Kelly Deal and the guitarist, but their drummer. I think I've noticed that there's some of these bands, they have one guy, and the guy's the best looking one in the band. They get like a really pretty guy to come up there, and that's what the Breeders did. Their drummer was like a good looking guy, and then you had Kim and Kelly Deal. They look fine and everything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. And who else did that? I think Tuska did. No, Veruca Salt. They did the same thing. They're not a woman band. But Elastica, I talk about them often, but they're not all female.
What was the band that the American Hi-Fi guy was the drummer for?
I don't know.
I can't think. He was with a band that was led by women. I can't think what it was.
Pescadero, that's another band that they had a male drummer. But in these cases, it's like you've got a woman lead singer and a woman lead guitarist, you know, and it's like kind of like Heart. A lot of people kind of look at them as like you think of Ann and Nancy Wilson, but there are guys in that band, and there have always been guys in that band, and they're not a girl group, but without those girls, it'd be nothing, you know.
Well, and to me, that's one of the coolest things is like, I mean, we both love the Pretenders. I think we all love the Pretenders.
Sure.
But you have a woman who is definitely the leader of that band.
Not just a vocalist, she is
and the core singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
And
the band couldn't exist without her.
Exactly.
The band is her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's especially on the first album, I mean, James Honeyman Scott, and I mean, he's an incredible, great guitar player.
Yeah.
Every part of that band was important, but she is it.
Well, she had to replace some of those guys.
Chrissy Hines. Well, the
two overdoses. And
James Honeyman Scott OD'd, and then the bass player, Pete Farndon, he OD'd after he was asked to leave the band because of the drug problems.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Her autobiography, it's funny. I loaned it to somebody who never gave it back because we all traded autobiographies, but I thought it was terrific. But she only wrote about up to when Pete dies.
Oh, interesting.
And it was fascinating. Her growing up in Ohio. I think Chrissy Hines.
She had a rough time of it.
Yeah, I can't listen to certain songs.
Why did she move to Britain?
Well, it was the thing.
She's from Ohio.
She was Ohio. She went to Kent State. She was around for the Kent State shootings, the massacre at Kent State, and she went and became a rock journalist in England. And she became really close with like Sid Vicious and all these other folks. She was kind of pivotal in the punk movement, and you just sort of thought she came out of nowhere, but no, she was in the middle of all that.
Wet Leg, that's a band today. People think of the two women you see so much, but there are two guys in it too. But
well, we
just saw them live; they were great.
Oh, good. I didn't know that.
At Bananarama. Yeah, well, I like Wet Leg too. Well, we've got to go ahead.
There's another female-led band, but they've got guys in them from Australia called Amel and the Sniffers.
Yeah.
And we saw them at Bananarama too. Great.
Oh yeah, they're terrific. Well, we've got a band that started in the Knoxville area, and I think they've moved someplace. I can't remember where they went, but they come back every once in a while called the Montvales.
Okay.
And it's a female duo, and I think they've had other people backing them up. I'm not sure if it was all women. I think they had men too. But, they're another one to look out for. It's really, really good.
Well, a lot of bands that, have a lot of female energy to them, and it wouldn't be like the B-52s. They wouldn't be the B-52s without the...
Not at all, no.
No.
It would be Fred Schneider solo, which was okay.
Yeah, Fred Schneider and the Shake Society they were fun.
But he brought women in.
He did.
Yeah.
But
I think that's great now. It's just that women are kind of always in bands now. They're always somewhere, and they'll be here or there. It's not just that backing vocalist role.
I always thought it was funny that so many bands had a female bass player. That was like
I've noticed
a
that
thing
too.
for a while.
Yeah.
With the Pixies and
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Talking Heads.
Yeah, Talking Heads.
Yeah.
And it was like that was the thing for a while. It's like a woman gets in the band, she's the bass player.
Right. Well, I guess it's
Emily 3.
Emily 3, and then she becomes the drummer. Susan's a good drummer. It was funny because that's it was a band that was here in Knoxville, but it was like the Tim Lee group. I can't remember
It was just the Tim Lee band.
Yeah.
I was in that band.
Yeah, and then his wife Susan gets in it and becomes like the co-lead vocalist. And I thought, no offense to the edition that you were in, John, but it's like it just elevated that band to something special. Mm-hmm. And it's because of Susan's input. Tim was always a great guitar player, but because she came in, he was able just to kind of concentrate on guitar more, and she was a good vocalist and a good bass player, and then later a good drummer. They're Bark now. Mm-hmm. But
how do you feel about? For me, I've made no bones about that. In general, I would prefer women vocalists. Not always, or some women vocalists I can't hear, and there's some fantastic male vocalists, obviously. But when I'm hearing women and women singing in harmony and all that stuff, I'm just excited. Now women are dominant as soloists, like at least in the pop world.
Right.
But, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Are we losing anything in this? Or
I just think that
music just evolves.
Yeah. Right, and women make up 50% of the population, and it's nice to hear them getting represented.
Yeah, I think it's evolved socially as well as artistically because women were kind of limited in what role they were in general. Yeah,
but like I was talking about before, there are women who will not listen to women artists.
I don't understand.
I don't either, but I've talked to people before who just don't like to hear women sing, and it's just weird to me. I mean. Right.
It's very weird. Anyway, if you won't listen to male or female artists, if you just pick one and say, I don't like any of those singers.
It's strange.
But it's especially common with women. And there are a lot of women who won't listen to women vocalists. Yeah. I've always wondered what the rationale is behind that because there's so many varieties of vocals for men and women and non-binary. But how can you just like take an entire gender and just say I don't want to hear anything they have to say, and then it's basically what you're saying.
You listen to somebody like Joan Armatrading, who has like a lower voice than nearly every guy out there singing.
Yeah,
it's like, well, you
don't like that.
Yeah,
but then you're like a high voiced man,
right?
Yeah,
so I don't get it.
That
I've mentioned this band before, the Heartless Bastards. Erica Winterstrom, she writes the songs. Yeah. She's the singer. And the band members are interchangeable.
Right.
But she's got a real low voice. When I first heard them, I thought, this is a dude with a real high voice.
Right.
She's got a really unique voice.
Right.
Yeah. I've never understood that. I mean, to me, music is all one thing. It's.
I wonder how many people, like when they found out Joan Armatrading was a woman, they stopped listening to her.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, would it affect you that much? Is their gender so important to you?
Yeah.
that even if you like their voice, when you find out they're not the gender you thought they were,
you don't like them.
You just suddenly don't like them.
Yeah, I mean, I never considered. I mean, if the song's good, the song's good.
Yeah,
and
but I think we listen to music differently than most people.
Maybe. I mean, we probably do. We probably listen closer, but still, I mean. I get the same emotional kick from listening to a woman sing as a guy sing if the song means something to me.
Right. And I like, I like women vocalists, when they write their own lyrics, sometimes they just emote the song so well, that it's like just the expressing themselves. And I know we've had this conversation. There are a lot of male vocalists, I could name 20 of them or whatever, who are great at expressing and emoting and all that stuff. But there's just something, sometimes there's just something coming from the woman's perspective. And that's what I'm saying is like, are we changing now that in our sex identity and everything that's being erased? And that's probably a good thing if it is, that, you're not coming into the world as being lesser or something, if that makes any sense. I don't know what I'm talking about now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is interesting. I mean, there's times I've been singing along with a song, it's a woman singing it, and it's like, it really doesn't relate to my life.
Right.
She's singing something that's very much about being a woman. And it's like, well, but I get the emotion from it. I get that, that she feels this. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it really doesn't.
And sometimes they'll be in a precarious situation as a woman that you won't be in as a man, but you can still empathize. You can still understand it.
If they're doing their job correctly, you can feel what they feel.
Right. Yeah, well, I think about, like, there's Janice Ian has a song called Jessie that Roberta Flack covered, and it's, about longing for this guy that's, that I don't know if they broke up. I can't remember if they broke up or what, but it's just, she misses him.
Yeah.
And it's very much, a woman singing about a man, but I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I mean.
Well, missing someone's pretty universal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's things that they could sing about that I couldn't sing along with. I mean, I had trouble with rap early on because it's like, this is not written for me. It's written.
Oh, I mean, there's all the time. Yeah. There are all the time people of any gender that I can't relate to anything at all about the situation they're in, but I can still listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But I'm glad that these girl groups all existed, and I'm glad
even if we have to call them women groups or,
I'm glad that we're at the point where it doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
But it was all these groups had a big that we talked about. I think had an effect on popular culture now and how we got to be where we are.
I agree. All right. We would do boy bands and boy groups, but that's 90% of them or more. So we may not do that one. But let's move on to recommendations.
Okay. Well, let me start off because it's part of it, of what we're talking about. Let me start off by recommending One Kiss Leads to Another, the girl group box. Rhino Records put out this box. It's great. It looks like a 1960s hat box if you can find the actual physical copy of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it's all out there. It collects some of the best-known girl groups, not people like the Supremes, but what's really special about it is it pulls up groups like the Tammies, who I've talked about before. They do the song Egyptian Shumba that Lou Christie produced, and I have never heard it sounds like he said, pretend you're having an orgasm when you sing this. And it's great. It's really kind of a precursor to the B-52s and people like that. It's a dance song that is so over the top. It's great. But this box, you can find just all sorts of treasures, and it's got a really good book with it that talks about the importance of some of these girl groups. And it was one of my all-time favorite. I used to do a roundup of like box sets for Christmas and things. It stands up as one of my very favorites. It's a great box, and some of the stuff was considered throwaway stuff at the time. It's got the Velvets. It's got all the Exciters, all sorts of great bands. So there you go.
Okay.
One Kiss Leads to Another, the girl group box.
Okay.
All right, I'll go. One of my favorite bands, and I think we all agree is one of our favorite bands. They Might Be Giants released an album in April of this year, and it's called The World Is to Dig. And they're just such catchy songwriters.
I love those guys.
They're great. So that's my recommendation. Go look it up.
And my kids and my grandkids, basically, we always get them the 1, 2, 3s. They do kids music that teaches kids the alphabets, and it's the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, and early math and things like that, and science. They've got one for science. They are just a great.
Didn't they used to be like really hyper productive?
Yeah.
They used to have a dial-a-song. They had just a tape recording voicemail machine, and every day they'd put a new song on there, and it was an 800 number you could dial from anywhere in the States and hear a new song for the day.
Yeah, terrific.
Very creative, productive.
All right, I'm going to talk about Charlie XCX. She's from the UK. That's the letter X, the letter C, the letter X.
Right.
She's been kicking around for over a decade. She's released her 8th studio album. It came out July 24th, 2026, called Music, Fashion, Film by Charlie XCX. Now, I have a lot of respect for this woman because she's hard to pin down, and she's kind of this she writes songs for all kinds of different people. And she's done a lot of pop and dance music, but that's really limiting to put her in any kind of category like that. I first heard of her when she came out with Icona Pop. Icona Pop is an all-woman group from Britain, and they did the song, oh, goodness gracious, it flew right out of my head. I Don't Care. I love it. Anyway, that came out in 2012, and then she was on Iggy Azalea's song Fancy, and Iggy Azalea was an Australian rapper who was kind of made fun of a lot, but her part, Charlie XCX's part of that, was really great. That was 2 years later in 2014. And then she's just been knocking around and doing music. And she did an album just called Brat. And whenever you hear about the Brat summer, when you hear people talk about being a brat, I think Kamala Harris was the Brat candidate. It was great branding. It was great marketing. My gal in Expose, she would have loved what Charlie XCX did with the Brat album. But that's where the Brat Summer came from. And she's been making movies. She's been making indie movies. She's done a song with Billie Eilish called, what was that, Guess. Anyway, she's turned 34 early August. And she's this new album, Music, Fashion, Film, people were thinking it was going to be a rock album or something. And like, she's just trying to, and she's also known for having feuds with people that weren't really feuds, but her saying stuff out of line. And she had one with Taylor Swift, and she's had some with others too. So she's kind of very much her own person, not too abrasive or anything, but just different.
Right.
And some of the songs that came out, there was a song called Rock Music on this new album. And in it, she says, I think it was a pre-single. She says, I think the dance floor is dead. So now we're making rock music. So it's a promise of a rock album and all that stuff. And later on, she says something about, on the song Camera, she says, do I want to make music? And this indecisiveness is reflected in the arrangements and everything because there's sort of rock music, but if you're a fan of rock music, you're not going to call it a rock album. Right. It's just kind of indecisive and fidgety. It's certainly not dance music, and her meanderings, and it's just like all the songs are really short except the last one. The last song is called No One Lasts Forever, and it's got this spoken dialogue by David Cronenberg, the filmmaker. Yeah. He's like 83 now, and it's just talking about how life comes to an end and everything. But the things that sell me on this is that she still has this really clever, crafty way of putting lyrics together. And like there's a song called Card Declined, and she's talking about how retail therapy is not working for her and her life's not working for her, and card decline, like, you know. And there's another one called Wink Wink, which is she's just telling kind of humorous things about herself. But it's interesting because she's just basically on a crossroads and she's not made her mind where she's going. So it's not like a big statement like you want. But it reminds me, and I don't even know if this is the case, but when you guys talk about a band that had one more album to do or a singer had one more album to do on a label, and they just grind out anything, it feels like something like that. Like she's just like, I'm going to just flip this and go do something else. You know?
Well, usually that's my favorite album by a group.
Yeah. Well, and maybe you would like this. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not the dance albums that you would hate, but...
Well, who's on the? I mean, I saw something about the album cover. Doesn't it have Martin Scorsese?
Yeah, there's. Oh gosh, I forgot.
Martin Scorsese, John Cale, and then some fashion guy.
Yeah, it's like because there's one for music, fashion, and film. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know where she's going. I don't know if she's just going to do movies from now on. I don't know if she'll really do a rock album, but it's just kind of interesting.
Point of interest, is it music, fashion, or passion?
Fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like Mark.
All the things
Mark
that she's
Jacobs
into.
or somebody, isn't that some fashion guy? But
yeah.
Mark, I think that's who that is. But I recognize John Cale and Martin Scorsese.
Right.
So somebody posted a picture. It's like, wait a minute, what are these guys doing together here?
Right.
And it's her album cover.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's Charlie XCX. I'm going to look that up real fast.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, movie-wise, I want to recommend Mary Oliver, Saved by the Beauty of the World, which I just saw. This is like an all-woman thing that I've been on today, whatever. But Mary Oliver was a great poet, and I knew nothing about her. I'd read some of her poetry, and this is going through art houses. It's just been released, and it was fascinating. She lived in this little Massachusetts town, little place. And John Waters, her longtime partner, had an art gallery, or bookstore rather, and John Waters worked there, the director. Okay. And he has these great stories about them. And there's all these different people who come in, and you've got a combination of people like Stephen Colbert and Steve Buscemi reading her poetry, and different people who knew her. And it's a fascinating story because she got lumped in with like the nature poets. You know, you think about Robert Frost and Ralph Waldo Emerson, the people, and that she did. And as she got older, she finally started becoming more personal and writing poetry about things from her life other than just her observations. But she was always out in nature. That was her refuge, and it's really interesting, and it's beautiful to watch. You've got all these scenes from these, bucolic places and the forests and things that she wandered through, and interviews with her. And it's a really good documentary. And one of the things that stands out to me is they have a section where you're seeing, she has a journal of like all of her submissions and rejections and acceptances, and just the number of rejections her poems got because she was so out of style. Right. And this says something about art in general, how political it really is. Right. Some people who are, we're the people who know everything. This is in and this is out. Mm-hmm. And it's like her poetry stands up regardless. It's good. And if you can't just look at something and say it's good, whether it fits into what your idea is now or not, and that applies to music, visual art, poetry, whatever, then you have no business writing about it or being a judge on it, because it doesn't matter. If it's good, it's good. Period.
So where did you see this?
They showed it at Regal. There's a Knox Film Fest actually showed it, but it's going around to like little art house theaters right now. I don't know if it's available for streaming yet or not, but it's a new film.
Okay, so it'll eventually be on streaming.
It'll eventually be on streaming, but look for it at your local theater that shows kind of the art house movies.
You know where that is, Perth.
But anyway, she's a fascinating
Loosen
character.
up your Perth strings.
Yeah.
John, you got something?
Yeah, my wife and I just discovered a new TV show. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Ride or Die, and it stars Hannah Waddingham, who was the owner of the football team in Ted Lasso, and also stars Octavia Spencer. And we had no idea, which is, I think, the best way to go into a movie or a TV show, just blank slate.
Yeah.
And it turns out Hannah Waddingham plays an assassin, and the very first scene, she's on an assignment to kill this person, and she has one way she's going to do it, but then she decides, nah, this is too impersonal. This guy's a real horrible man, and I need to kill him up close. And so she breaks all protocol and earns the ire of the department that sent her to do the killing. But she does kill him, and then has to make it's a thrill ride, and she's a real badass. And Octavia Spencer is in it as well. And she plays this sort of frumpy housewife living in England. She's married to a British politician, but she's really running the show. She gets him to all of his interviews. She sets up all his speeches, and she's kind of in control. But then she finds out, and they're driving home from an event, and he just looks over and says, I think I want out of our marriage. Oh. And she's like, blown away by that, because she what are you going to do without me? And then later on, Hannah Waddingham is on an assignment, and she goes into a room, and the person that she is supposed to kill, well, he's not there, but there's like 4 dead bodies with holes in their heads, and one of them is Octavia Spencer's husband. And they have been friends. It establishes in flashback that they've been friends because Hannah Waddingham was driving home and sees Octavia Spencer with her hood up on the side of the road and steam coming out. And so she stops and says, you need a lift. And she tells Octavia Spencer's character that she's a forensic accountant. And so they end up becoming really good friends, and they go to each other's houses and all that. But it turns out that like Hannah Waddingham's Octavia Spencer finds out that she's an assassin. And she said, What have you been? You've been lying to me this whole time. But there's so many connections between the two that they're still friends. And Octavia Spencer has a skill set too that's different than Hannah Waddingham's. It's a really interesting show, and I'm really enjoying it. I've only seen 2 episodes. It's on Amazon Prime, and I think there's only 6 episodes. It just started this year. It's a new series.
It's amazing how many series are only 6 episodes long.
Yeah,
that's what they do now, 6 or 7, and they're done.
Yeah, so that's not enough.
No,
not
it's
enough.
Not enough.
Series.
We're used to 34 episodes.
I was one year when I was really sick for a long time. I watched The Rifleman from start to finish, and it was like, and it truly did have like 34 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's ambitious. Okay, so the fashion guy on the Charlie XCX cover is Marc Jacobs.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So the movie I want to recommend is called The Invite. This was directed by Olivia Wilde, actress Olivia Wilde, who also directed Don't Worry, Darling, and what was it, Booksmart. And I like both of those movies. Booksmart was like the nerdy girls. Anyway,
I wanted to see that and never did.
It was good. Check it out. So The Invite, it's directed by Olivia Wilde, and she stars in it with Seth Rogen, and they're like this San Francisco couple. They've just totally over each other. I mean, they're just like bicker, and they just argue. And they've invited, or she has invited, the upstairs neighbor couple, this mysterious couple, played by Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton. Mm-hmm. And this whole movie, except for maybe an opening scene or two, this whole movie is in this apartment. And, of course, Seth Rogen doesn't want them coming down, and he's mad that she invited him, and she's trying to make everything perfect. And they're arguing, and they're arguing, and they're arguing. And then finally the couple shows up. Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton show up, and they've been hearing them argue, and they come in. So it's awkward, and it's constantly awkward. But it's really funny, and the arguing is funny, and there's some cringe stuff. And it's not just like, it's not, I don't like just like overly smart dialogue where people are just saying things that people wouldn't say. I mean, this feels very real.
Yeah.
And there's like physical comedy in it too. And just like, and you're not really for either one of them. They're both kind of like at fault for whatever's going on with them. And you learn more about this other couple who's very weird and kind of evasive, but it just comes to great. It's just very funny. I don't want to give anything away, but it twists and it turns, and it's just an interesting watch. It's like an hour and a half long, and it was just a great diversion, I think.
Where do you see this?
I saw it at the theater. I imagine when you hear this, it's probably streaming by now somewhere, so give it a Google and stream it. But I think you and Sarah should see that for sure. Okay. You and Leslie, too, maybe.
The Invitation?
The Invite.
The Invite.
Yeah, and it's Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde is amazing. I mean, all of them are really great in it. And, some people are kind of like, well, Olivia Wilde married with Seth Rogen, but you totally buy it. You believe it, and it's like, I don't know. It's just good. They're all four. Well, these are great actors, all four of them. And Olivia Wilde might be the best of all four in this movie. Huh. And apparently she didn't want to star in it, and she had to be convinced to star in it. She was going to cast another actress. Cool. So, The Invite.
Good deal.
All right. So you can find us, How We Heard It, on social media. You can find it on YouTube, of course, and you can find it on Facebook and X and Instagram and TikTok. Reels. We do little blurbs on all these places, and then you can also find the podcast itself is on YouTube as well as Spotify. You found us somehow, so you can find us other places too if you don't like the platform you're using now. If you have any questions for us, if you have any suggestions, if you have any recommendations or feedback, you can write us at howweheardit@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to How We Heard It with Chuck Campbell and Wayne Bledsoe, a podcast about music, movies, art, culture, whatever it is that's on their mind. How We Heard It was recorded at the Arbor Studio in Knoxville, Tennessee by me, John Baker. How We Heard It is a Cozy Planet production. If listening to this podcast has given you a burning sensation, then we recommend you sit in a hot tub until your symptoms fade away. If you'd like to reach out to Chuck or Wayne or even me, you can send an email to howweheardit@gmail.com. So thank you for listening, and come on back and we'll have another episode for you next week.